Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Regional countries warned to expect fallout from Venezuela's economic crisis. That's our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Thursday, June 15. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Sharon Coward. Good evening. An official of the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, is telling Caribbean countries they should expect to be affected by the political and economic problems currently in Venezuela. A depressed economy, food shortages, and ongoing protests, which have resulted in several deaths, are plaguing the country. The crisis has seen thousands march against the government of President Nicolas Maduro, and with the economy sliding further, citizens are leaving the country. And the IMF says Venezuela's neighbors will feel it. The caution came as the fund gave its projections for the region's economic performance into 2018 at a forum at Trinidad and Tobago's central bank. Faye Richards of TV6 News reports.
The meltdown in Venezuela can't be contained to their corner of the region, according to IMF officials. Inflation is skyrocketing from triple digits last year to over 1,000% this year, and that's happening against the backdrop of another double-digit drop in GDP in 2017.
We're talking really about a major economic calamity in Venezuela recently.
At an IMF forum on the region's economic outlook, economists said poverty in Venezuela has surged to 82%. There's a rising murder rate not just in the capital but across the country. The economic collapse is pushing Venezuelans out of their homeland. The IMF economist says surrounding countries, including TNT, should be ready for refugees and their impact on the economy.
I've heard offhand that some might also be coming to Trinidad. So, I mean, this is starting to affect the neighborhood. Obviously, we see it as a grave source of concern for the people of Venezuela, but it's also beginning to affect the economic outlook for other countries in near Venezuela.
The annual Regional Outlook Report is prepared by staff at the IMF's Western Hemisphere Department. The report notes that Latin American countries, particularly Brazil and Argentina, are emerging from some of the worst recession years since the 1980s. But investment and consumption across Latin America and the Caribbean is still sluggish, and the IMF doesn't expect much change.
We see both consumer and business confidence still being in pessimistic territory. And so the prospects for a turnaround in consumption and investment in the region we see as not entirely favorable.
United States President Donald Trump is set to revamp Washington's friendly overtures towards Cuba, tightening several restrictions that were eased by his predecessor Barack Obama. According to information obtained by the Miami Herald, Trump plans to curtail cash flow between the U.S. and Cuba. The new rules also mandate that travelers to the Spanish-speaking Caribbean country be subjected to a Treasury Department audit of their trip to ensure they fall under one of the permitted categories. Educational trips and so-called people-to-people group exchanges will be under greater scrutiny, with educational groups once again having to travel with a guide from a U.S. organization sponsoring the trip. However, diplomatic relations as re-established by Obama, including reopened embassies in Washington and Havana, will remain. The new administration will not reinstate the wet foot, dry foot policy, which allowed Cuban immigrants who reached American soil to remain in the country. Trump is expected to sign the presidential policy directive on the measures on Friday. Earlier this week, U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson served notice that the Trump administration plans to restore pressure on the regime. Controversy in Bermuda's opposition Progressive Labour Party, the PLP, as the party rejects former Premier Paula Cox as a candidate in next month's elections. Cox launched a broadside against party leader David Burt after it was announced that Wayne Keynes would be the PLP's candidate for the constituency that she lost in the last general election in 2012. She said party leaders had acted as if they had a backroom agenda to tarnish her reputation. The Royal Gazette newspaper today reported that Cox sent a scathing email to Burt over her rejection. She said the executive of the constituency branch had been told at a meeting on Monday that she could be a liability, quote, to the PLP if she were to run. Cox had been canvassing the constituency, and she said she would continue to do so ahead of the July 18 poll. Gary Moreno of Bermuda Broadcasting News has more on this story.
But polls said to have been carried out by the party reportedly returned poor figures in terms of Ms. Cox being a candidate. However, the PLP branch in constituency 14 is said to have selected Ms. Cox, but their decision was reportedly overridden and Mr. Keynes selected. In fact, only yesterday, the branch secretary wrote party leader David Burt thanking him and other senior PLP officials for meeting with them last week to discuss the situation, but indicated that in the days following that meeting, the branch met again and found with no doubt unwavering support for already approved candidate Paula Cox, and Ms. Cox is the candidate of choice for constituency number 14. Even Ms. Cox is said to have written to Mr. Burt indicating polls are no guarantee and hard work is required to serve the people. However, recent polling does shed a very favourable light on her chances, both when compared with the government and any unnamed PLP candidates. Ms. Cox is said to have reminded Mr. Burt that she is a die-hard PLP supporter, but in her view, when you flout procedures and the will of the people in constituency 14, then lessons may have to be learnt. Further, quote, people seem to think I will just roll over for what some claim is for the good of the party. No. Principles and due process are higher goals that we have to also be mindful of. If you truly believe someone needs help, then you support and help, not discard. We are supposed to be a team. These are the PLP values I uphold and respect, and I will die for, unquote. It is understood party chairman Scott Simmons became involved, advising that this matter be quickly resolved as there was a general election in the offing. When contacted about the situation, new candidate Mr. Keynes responded that he does not discuss internal party matters. However, his sleeves are rolled up and his shoulders are to the grindstone, and he looks forward to working with the people of constituency 14 as together they can make a difference.
As CARICOM heads prepare for their annual conference, a Jamaican legislator says the government must insist that its regional counterparts amend their laws to facilitate free movement of workers or threaten them with protectionist policies. Officials from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security on Wednesday complained to Parliament's Public Administration and Appropriations Committee that while Jamaica has taken steps to make it easier for CARICOM nationals with skilled certificates to work in Jamaica, other countries were refusing to do so. MP Michael Phillips, a member of the committee, said government needs to pressure non-compliant CARICOM states. He suggested that if they don't adjust, Jamaica should have a stringent entrance application as well. Don't blame us, blame the government. That's the sentiment from Jamaica's Chief Justice, Zyla Makala, as she defended the judiciary following complaints from Police Commissioner George Qualo about the length of time it's taking to move cases through the courts. On Tuesday, Qualo expressed frustration at the slow pace at which the judicial system operates, saying it takes an average of 7 years for matters to be ventilated in court. And he argues that it has served as a challenge to crime-fighting efforts. But in a release late Wednesday, Makala said while she shared Qualo's concerns, the judiciary is not to blame. She says the lack of adequate resources is slowing down the courts. The Chief Justice said despite their best efforts, it's the Ministers of Justice and Finance that have responsibility to provide adequate physical and human resources to enable the courts to handle the increasingly heavy caseloads. She stresses that provision of these resources continues to be woefully inadequate and has negatively impacted the court's ability to deal with the vast and increasing number of cases in the system. And still ahead in Caribbean Newsline, a minor cabinet reshuffle in Guyana causes major concern for one of the parties in the country's coalition government. That story and more when we return. Stay with us.
Beautiful Barbados and 4D Entertainment welcome you to the Flow Soca on the Hill, Sunday, July 23rd, 2017, where the mega stars of Crop Over 2017 assemble with the Caribbean's best: Patrice, Skinny Fabulous, Ricky T, Orlando Octave, and Ultimate Rejects to bring you the world's greatest soca party, the Flow Soca on the Hill. the people.
Are you ready? Are you ready now? Hey, Saint Kitts, are you ready? Yeah. Saint Kitts on Nevis, Wagwan. Hey, tell me now, are you ready for some rockers music?
Ready.
It's another episode when we out on the road. This is what we love to celebrate, to celebrate. This is not Hollywood. No, we don't come out the road.
Drink, drink, drink.
King Baba and the guitar. Every fact that a boy keep on calling me wrong name. But that's okay, cause that's my bitch. I don't understand I'm wearing a name tag on me. Don't know what to say, he's still calling me wrong name.
Don't get vexed with me. Don't say that.
The decision by Guyana President David Granger to move Dr. Rupert Roopnarine from the helm of the Education Ministry is not sitting well with the Working People's Alliance, the WPA, one of the parties in the Partnership for National Unity coalition government. Roopnarine, a member of the WPA, has been replaced by Nicolette Henry and instead given responsibility for the public service under the auspices of the Ministry of the Presidency. WPA executive member David Hines says the party has questions about the move that it wants President Granger to answer.
Serious concerns in which about how the matter was handled. And I can say that one of the concerns that we have is the fact that we were not consulted before the decision was taken. We have written the president requesting a meeting to discuss that and other issues, other related issues, and we await that meeting.
The WPA also wants to know from the president whether the shift of Dr. Roopnarine from a critical ministry to a smaller one is in fact a demotion. The party has already called an emergency meeting among its members to discuss the issue.
And so we want to withhold comment on whether it was a demotion or not until we hear from the president what was his thinking behind the move.
As it relates to Dr. Roopnarine's performance at the Education Ministry, Dr. Hines said that the party has not been monitoring the minister, but noted that he was capable and qualified to handle the tasks before him.
We would want to believe that Dr. Roopnarine would have played his role as effective as his health and other circumstances allowed him to. And so we are not at this point about to question Dr. Rupert Roopnarine's competence as a Minister of Education.
And how does the WPA feels about the president announcing his move on the very day founder of the WPA was assassinated?
I'm not accusing the government of deliberately choosing this day, but perhaps the government could have been sensitive enough to understand that June 13th is sacred to us in the WPA and would have made that announcement at a different time. We're not amused.
Minister of State Joseph Harman, in making the announcement on Tuesday, said that Minister Roopnarine would take up office at the Ministry of the Presidency with specific responsibilities for the public service. It is important to note that Minister Roopnarine still remains a member of Cabinet and the National Assembly.
That report from Royden James of HGP Nightly News. And still in Guyana, human rights advocacy group Society Against Sexual Orientation Discrimination, SASOD, will be helping the government to draft a discrimination that addresses LGBT people in Guyana. And it has expressed the hope that a report on the country's voting records on responses to LGBT issues in international fora will bring about positive change for that minority group. We get more in this report from Javon Vickery of HGP Nightly News.
The government, through Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Basil Williams, is in the process of fulfilling its campaign promise as it pertains to human rights of persons in the LGBT community. During a press conference on Wednesday, founder of SASAD Guyana, Joel Simpson, explained that several promises were also made to the organization by the past administration as it pertains to the enforcement of human rights for minority groups, especially those in the LGBT community. Simpson, however, announced that during the meeting with Minister Williams last week, a request was made for the organization to assist the administration in delivering on their promise.
In order to help them a bit and to help to fast track this process, we were asked to draft the bill, and we thought that could help to move things along faster. And we have agreed to do so, and we have confirmed the support of the United Nations Development Program as early as next week in the local press and on the UNDP Ghana website. There will be a consultancy, an advertisement for a legislative drafting consultancy for an attorney at law with experience and qualifications in legislative drafting to actually draft this bill for us, and it's supporting white paper.
While there is still uncertainty on the legislation on same-sex intimacy, the amendment of the Prevention of Discrimination Act, according to Simpson, seeks to include sexual orientation and gender identity as grounds for discrimination under the legislation.
We hope to have this actioned very, very soon. And within the next couple of months, we are going to have a bill ready that we're going to be taking back to the Minister of Legal Affairs and Attorney General. So we're really past consultation stage. We're at the stage where we've said, this is the first law that needs to be amended. And specifically, that's the Prevention of Discrimination Act 1997, which deals with discrimination in the context of employment, recruitment, remuneration, promotion, membership of professional associations.
Meanwhile, the organization commissioned its support on Guyana's voting records and responses on human rights issues in the LGBT community.
In Haiti, one person has been confirmed dead and dozens injured following a mudslide in the district of Alkai on Wednesday. Police report that at least 5 homes were destroyed by the massive mudslide that was triggered by heavy rains. They say residents have been asked to evacuate the affected areas and stay alert. Emergency response institutions are also sending messages through radio and cell phones to warn residents of the risks and dangers that could come in the aftermath of the rains. Haiti is still recovering from the damages left in the wake of Hurricane Matthew in October last year, which led to the deaths of 573 people. And ahead in Newsline Sport, the ODI series between West Indies and Afghanistan ends in a draw. More when we return. Stay with us.
The Sajiko Cahill School of Business and Management invites you to attend Navigating a Path to Growth, a risk and competitive intelligence conference at Hilton Barbados Resort on June 26th and 27th, 2017. Speakers include Global Strategy and Risk expert Dr. Andrea Schotter, Regional PwC Risk Assurance Leader Bruce Scott, Miss Lisa Padmore, Dr. Delisle Worrell, Mr. Ian D'Souza, Professor Patrick Hossain, Professor Julian Marcel, and many others. For more information, call 246-424-7731 or visit www.uwichsb.org. Secure your space today.
Welcome to SwiftPack, your online shopping and shipping solution. Receive the best rates, expert cargo management, and exceptional customer service. SwiftPack provides secure handling of your smallest packages to your largest cargo with speed and reliability. We invite you to use our U.S. mailbox service, online shopping, ship air and ocean cargo from the supplier to your door. We handle it all for you. Get started now. Sign up for a free regular account or premium account, or give us a call on 440-6100. SwiftPack. You shop, we ship, you save.
Rovenel's Resort and Conference Center is the mecca of conferences in the island of Tobago. The state-of-the-art facility caters to executive forums, weddings, banquets, training, elegant dining, and tranquil accommodations. Guests at Rovenel's Resort can choose from self-catering, standard, deluxe, and executive rooms. Sit at the poolside and savor the ambience of nature, or enjoy a sumptuous meal on the terrace and inside the Bouvardia restaurant. Let's go to Rovenel's Resort and Conference Center, the tranquil Caribbean Resort. Call 868-639-9666 or visit our website at www.rovenelsresorttobago.com.
Well, persistent heavy rain forced the abandonment of the decisive third one-day international between West Indies and Afghanistan in St. Lucia on Wednesday night, leaving the three-match series in a 1-1 stalemate. The adverse weather, which started overnight and continued all day, refused to relent for any significant length of time, leaving the Darren Sammy cricket ground underwater, and play was eventually called off at 7:12 p.m. With the original start time of 2:30 p.m. delayed by 2¼ hours, the game was reduced to 43 overs per side when the weather finally eased somewhat late in the evening and officials managed to get the toss spun. The washout summed up the Windies' fortunes in the series as they failed to really assert their dominance over the ICC associate nation. West Indies' performance in the series saw them drop 2 ratings points to fall to 77 in the ICC one-day rankings, further hampering their chances of automatic qualification for the 2019 World Cup. They will now turn their attention to India, who arrive in the Caribbean for a 5-match ODI series from June 23 to July 6, following their participation in the ongoing ICC Champions Trophy. And staying with cricket, teenager Kiana Joseph has described her call-up to the West Indies women's side for the ICC Cricket World Cup as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and she's hoping to make the most of the chance once she breaks into the starting 11. The 16-year-old left-arm seamer is the youngest member of the side and is one of 4 uncapped players in the 15-member squad for the June 24 to July 23 campaign.
It means a lot to me and my family because this opportunity comes once in a lifetime, and when you get an opportunity like that, you must make the best out of it. I wasn't surprised because this year I worked very hard to be a member of the team.
Joseph managed 7 wickets at an average of 15 during the regional Super 50 in the Caribbean recently, impressing selectors with her potential. She was subsequently picked for the Tour of England in order to gain experience. Joseph says once a chance presented itself, she would look to make her mark.
I get an opportunity to play, I'll make the best out of it, and if I get the opportunity to bowl, I'll take at least 3 wickets in that game.
Jamaica's Reggae Boys went down 3-1 to Peru in an international friendly on Tuesday night as they continued their preparation for next month's CONCACAF Gold Cup in the United States. TVJ's Daniel Blake filed this report.
Theodore Whitmore was hoping to see some quality play from his team just weeks before their crucial upcoming tournament. However, positives were hard to find as the Reggae Boys were outclassed by Peru from the start. Goalkeeper Andre Blake did well to deny Peru captain Paulo Guerrero in the 21st minute, but could not stop Edison Flores on the rebound. The Jamaicans seem to have been thinking about the interval when a free Renato Tapia headed home from a corner in the 44th minute. The halftime team talk apparently didn't do much to liven the Jamaican defense as Captain Guerrero, who was sent through on goal, slotted past Blake to make it 3-0 in the 59th minute.
Game so far. Through on goal. Peru 3. Jamaica 0. It's the captain Paulo Guerrero.
Some brilliant theatrics from Montego Bay United forward Owen Gordon earned a penalty for the Reggae Boys, which the returning Jermaine Teddy Johnson converted in the 86th minute.
Great anticipation as Jermaine Johnson steps up, right-footed, and it's there quite efficiently. Jamaica won. The scoreline, after all, not looking all that embarrassing now.
However, that was only a consolation for Jamaica, who have just won 6 of their last 15 friendly internationals. The boys will now move on to their Caribbean Cup semi-final against French Guyana on June 22 in Martinique.
And still in football, TNT-based football clubs San Juan Jablotech and Central FC as well as Jamaica's Portmore United, are among 16 teams to participate in the inaugural season CONCACAF League, which kicks off in August. CONCACAF, in a release on Wednesday, said the first leg matches in the round of 16 are scheduled to be played from August 1 to 3 and will begin in Central America. Some of those matches will be played in Trinidad and Tobago, Nicaragua, and Honduras. San Juan Jablotech will kick off their campaign on August 1 against Costa Rican-based club Santos de Guapiles, while Central will square off with Panamanian side Deportivo Aribe Unido on August 3. Portmore United will begin their quest for supremacy when they battle Plaza Amador on August the 2nd. The championship home and away final of the CONCACAF League is scheduled for October. And in rugby, TNT's chances at qualifying for the World Championships got tougher after they were recently beaten by Guyana. In this report from Usain Griffith of Capital News, we hear Guyana's victory landed them the South Zone title and a major boost in the international standing.
Machine Guyana national rugby team has moved up to 10th position on the international ranking table. The latest move was due to the Green Machines' defeat over Trinidad and Tobago in RAN South Zone's finals on Saturday. The ranking had Trinidad and Tobago for 6.25, more than Guyana's for the 5.81. On Saturday, the national rugby team used home advantage to shut down the challenge of Trinidad and Tobago 24-17 to retain the South Zone title at the Saints Ground at Carfest Avenue. Guyana's victory was instrumental through tries from Avery Corbin, Richard Staglon, and Amin Isaacs, while Captain Ryan Gonzalez converted twice.
Coming up against Trinidad, if you go outside, they carry off. So, and the field is wet. So the better you stay inside. Me coming on at pace, they can't tackle me coming on at pace because they're flat-footed. They're not into the position. They're waiting for me. And so coming off, staying away from the line and coming back inside is more better for me.
And that's the sport. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Ravenel's Resort and Conference Center is the mecca of conferences in the island of Tobago. The state-of-the-art facility caters to executive forums, weddings, banquets, training, elegant dining, and tranquil accommodations. Guests at Ravenel's Resort can choose from self-catering, standard, deluxe, and executive rooms. Sit at the poolside and savor the ambience of nature, or enjoy a sumptuous meal on the terrace and inside the Bouvardia restaurant. Let's go to Ravenel's Resort and Conference Center, the tranquil Caribbean Resort. Call 868-639-9666 or visit our website at www.rovenelsresorttobago.com.
Grow your business or promote your event through the services offered by the Caribbean Media Corporation and CaribVision. Our distribution provides a platform on cable, terrestrial television, and websites. We cover carnivals and events from across the region. We can bring your event live and alive to the world. For music makers, program producers, businesses, we can expand your reach to in excess of 2 million households daily. Our other services include news updates to enhance your media products, studio space for program and development. We can facilitate the launch of new products and services and training. Contact us and we will help you unleash your creative ability, develop products and services, and provide the medium to watch them grow. Contact Loretta Skeet at cmccaribbean.com or call her 1-246-467-1044 or 1-246-253-3889. Call and book your carnival or event today.
Our top story as we leave you, the IMF warns regional countries to expect fallout from Venezuela's economic crisis. That's Caribbean Newsline for this edition. For today, for news and sports around the clock, check our website at carnews.com. We'll be here again tomorrow. Hope to see you then. Thanks for viewing. Good night.